Hey, what's going on, guys? Christian Hanna Horror back here today. We're just talking about movies lately. I like doing my lists and stuff, but sometimes I just like to talk about movies I'm watching. So today, we're talking about a horror anthology. Now, I've talked about horror anthologies in the past, a lot of them. Trick or Treat, Tales from the Dark Side of the Movie, Creepshow 1, 2, Creepshow 3. How many others? There's many others. Nightmares, I really like Nightmares. There's many horror movie anthologies that I love. And this is one that I started watching probably half a year ago, and I got real caught up, and it got lost in the shuffle. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, I need to rewatch that movie because I loved the song that's supposed to play at the end of the movie because I was listening to a podcast that talked about it. Anywho, Stephen King's Cat's Eye. Now, this is actually a steelbook I have for it, and this is, quite frankly, one of my favorite steelbooks I own. I just thought, I love how classic and old school it looks with the old font, Stephen King. There's Drew Barrymore on the back. Cat's Eye. This is a horror anthology movie, and it's unsuspecting. It's almost unprovoking because it's just called Cat's Eye. I'm not afraid of cats. I'm actually a dog person, but like at the same time, I like cats. If I would have a cat, if my wife would let me, obviously with a pug and 2 Boston Terriers, you tell me if I could have a cat in this house. Probably not. Stephen King's Cat's Eye is a really fun little movie. Let's talk about this for a minute. So, I would equate this, if I was going to compare it to another horror anthology, I would equate it to Nightmares. It's got the same level of production in a sense, but better. Cat's Eye is very well made. It looks very crisp. It looks very clean. It looks like it's got money behind it. It looks well produced, but it has that flavor, that almost, earlier 80s kind of flavor, although I think this is 85. I can't remember the exact year, but I want to say it's mid-80s, 85. But Cat's Eye was really entertaining. I liked it. 3 segments, and I believe 2 of the segments are from a short story book that Stephen King did called Night Shift, if memory serves, and I think the 3rd one was made exclusively for Cat's Eye. So Night Shift got turned into a lot of things. If that's the name of it, if memory serves, it's a short story book. A lot of stuff came from that short story book. But the first 2 segments are from Stephen King's work, and the 3rd one was exclusive. What I liked about Cat's Eye is all the stories are not really intertwined. They kind of just do their own thing with a little bit of a segue with the cat. There's a cat that you see in the beginning, and he travels his way through the segments to get to where we connect. But the stories themselves, the themes and the looks and the actual legitimate stories, they're not really relatable. They're not very much like alike. Like Trick or Treat is so much this come together movie where everything's the same. Well, this one, the 3rd one is about a killer troll, and the first one is about quitting smoking. It's funny I mentioned Nightmare, so let's talk about the first segment. The reason this movie is amazing, I would say I would give it a pass, but the truth is I think this is actually just a good movie. James Woods is in Cat's Eye, and right then and there, he's one of my all-time favorite actors. I love James Woods. He's just so good. He is a smoker. It's the 80s. Everybody's smoking. He wants to quit. Now, he seemingly has tried everything, and you get that sense from him because he's just like, no pun intended, he's on his last breath with this. Like, he is just done with smoking. And he goes to this place called Quitters Incorporated, and when he walks in there, things seem a little strange. There's a guy crying his eyes out on the couch with the receptionist at the front. She's not fazed by it at all. All of a sudden, this guy's wife comes through the door, and she looks like she's been through hell. We don't know what happened, but she's been through hell. So then he's just like, I think I want to get out of here. But he's already signed his paperwork, and the guy who runs Quitters Incorporated walks in. He goes, "Sir, come on in. We're going to fix you right up. Don't worry about it." And then he's like, "What are you guys going to do?" And basically, you learn that this is a smoking company to help people quit that's basically ran by the mafia, and their techniques on how to make you quit are extreme. And it was really awesome because he's like, "You better not smoke because I promise you, we're going to find you. We got eyes on you all the time. I'll break your legs. Watch this cat." And then they take this cat that we see and put it in this room that's like a metal grated room. And all of a sudden, they turn it on, and it's like the cat's getting shocked by the ground. Every time you take a step, bzz, bzz, bzz. And James, being a respectable human being, is like, "Stop, you're hurting the cat." And then the guy's like, "The cat's fine, don't worry about the cat, just gonna have some charred feet, but don't worry about it." And so basically you learn, if you smoke, somebody's getting hurt. But he didn't really understand at first that it doesn't necessarily mean him. They're going to go after his family to make him quit. So it's funny because this movie has a segment similar to the opening segment of Nightmares. They're both basically PSAs for quitting smoking. Coincidental, but very interesting. So yeah, and spoiler alert, that was my favorite segment, Quitters Incorporated. So don't want to spoil the rest of that segment. Leave it there. But James Woods is in it. He's always captivating. We move on to this next one. We're going to, I believe it was in Jersey. This was near Atlantic City or whatever. And it's this casino, and you see these rich people coming out of the casino, and this old guy who you can tell has got all the money. And then there's this younger guy hanging out with him, and they're like, hey, $10,000, that cat or whatever doesn't get run over by a car. This cat's trying to cross the street, and it's the same cat. This is the cat that's intertwining the stories. And the cat survives, obviously. And then you find out that there's a little bit of a lover's quarrel here. And so the old guy, the tycoon, if you will, he's kind of like the Leslie Nielsen from Creepshow kind of segment. He is going to go through great lengths to hurt this guy, the younger guy, and he's going to make him try to walk the ledge around this massive skyscraper building that he's living in. And he's doing everything he can to try to kill him and knock him off. Very fun, tense segment. Very entertaining. I liked it a lot. I was thinking to myself, usually the middle one's a little bit of a dud, but no, this one actually had a great story. Yeah, for me, typically, I never find myself saying I like the second segments or the middle segment the most in horror anthologies, and that's the same case here, but I still liked it a lot. I still thought Quitters Incorporated was more entertaining, but this one was like, okay, this is good. Okay, sometimes you get a little bit of that slump in those anthologies. But I'm not going to spoil that one. And then the third one is where we really get our Drew Barrymore. Now, you've seen her in sprinkles throughout this without spoiling too much of what the story is throughout the first two segments. But the third segment is where we really get Drew Barrymore. She is a daughter in this house, this lovely home, and she finds this cat. This cat shows up. She loves the cat, but the mom doesn't want the cat in the house. You can understand that. She's like, no, get the cat out of here. Some people don't want pets. They just don't want pets. I don't trust people that don't want pets, by the way, but this lady, she didn't want any pets. Something's making a mess in the room, and it's not the cat, but the mom thinks it's the cat, and then you get this creepy-looking troll monster that shows up. Now, the practical effects, and this is what most of you are going to love. If you watch Cat's Eye, you're going to love this troll monster. This troll monster, the makeup effects were really cool on it, and it was good makeup effects with these nasty, sharp teeth. Like if the thing bit you, it would hurt. But he's got like this jester hat on with the bells. It was awesome. And then a lot of the camera effects they did in this were great. Everything seemed in camera, and there was somebody being the troll, and it looked like they had set designs where they oversized the furniture and everything to make them look smaller. But then they did like in-camera stuff where you see the troll walking on Drew Barrymore's stomach going towards her face, and he's going to try to steal her breath because of a little folk tale that the dad made a joke about the mother-in-law saying to the daughter earlier. And that's great. All that stuff is great. The third segment, I would rank them. Honestly, the third segment's probably the best one. But I would probably go 3, 1, 2 in the order of what I loved. But the troll is what's going to make you guys love this movie. The troll is great. The effects work is great. The makeup effects are really awesome on it. He's a devilish little sucker, I tell you. So I loved it. The third segment really hits a home run for me. But the best thing about this movie, the number one thing about Cat's Eye, for all you music fans out there, is the Ray Stevens Cat's Eye song that plays over the credits. It is amazing. You can't help but dance to it. You'll immediately go on YouTube and YouTube to MP3 it. I love the Cat's Eye song. It is so catchy. My God, I love it. I gotta find a single of this on vinyl or something. But I listen to it all the time. So check out Earn the Song at the end of the movie. Boogie. Turn your speakers up as soon as the credits roll and just dance. You're gonna love it. So with that being said, Cat's Eye is really fun. I enjoyed this horror anthology a lot. Like I said, I would kind of compare it to a Nightmares kind of horror anthology, kind of like that real worldism, and at the end we get a little wacky. This one has the troll, and then in Nightmares we had the massive mutant rat at the end. So they're fairly similar. It's actually quite interesting the more I think about it. And of course, they both had basically the PSA against smoking on our first segments. But I think I like Quitters Incorporated a little bit more because it's really entertaining. Definitely get your hands on Cat's Eye, guys. If you get the Steelbook, I'd recommend it. I love the Steelbook, but there is a regular Blu-ray release for Cat's Eye. It's worth owning, I think. It's a fun movie. I don't know why. This one seems like it gets lost in the shuffle. Maybe it's the name. Maybe it never got one of those collector's Blu-ray releases. I think it just got a standard Blu-ray release from Warner Brothers, and there wasn't much hype around it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a ton of fans for this movie. But if you haven't seen Cat's Eye, get on it. It's from the 80s. It's a classic, fun horror anthology, and it's not much more. Nothing could be much better than a horror anthology. You know what I mean? I just love horror anthologies. So I give that movie a solid 6.5 out of 10. Really entertaining, really fun. I'll give it a B+. Fun. The picture quality's great on this Blu-ray. Just track it down, get your hands on it. Probably really cheap. So there it is, guys. Cat's Eye. Love the movie. We'll see you guys next time.